Hello and welcome to 7 for 12 with me, Steve Harmison, and Jon Norman. A fascinating day's play at the World Test Championship. We finally got some play. And what's in store? Are we going to get a result on day 6 of this World Test Championship? Alongside me as ever is Jon Norman. Jon, what have you made of today's play?
Well, thankfully we got some play, although you could argue that there wasn't much going on in that first session, eh? I mean, it was a bit ridiculous. What was it? 34 runs in 21 overs. All of this after another delay because of the rain. If this game had been played anywhere else in the world, we probably would have had a winner by now. But anyway, it was then real nip and tuck, wasn't it, throughout the day? India, to their huge credit, knew that they could not let New Zealand get away from them, and they didn't. There was some brilliant bowling along the way from Mohammad Shami, who answered a few critics. There was a few murmurs about whether he should be in the side. We didn't see any spin till right at the end of the innings. Kane Williamson, I was thinking I was going to come on the show, Harmy, and say that's one of the best innings I've ever seen in my life. And then he was out for 49. And really, it was left to the likes of Jamieson and Southee to get New Zealand back up where they should have been. And then 2 late wickets in the day, just meaning with day 6 ahead of us, if New Zealand get Kohli out early, I think we're absolutely got a game here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought India bowled beautifully. We talked about it a couple of days ago about India bowling too short, possibly bowling too wide, looking as though they'd bowled some lovely looking balls, but not actually being that effective. And I think, good sides, and this is why they are the best sides in the world, New Zealand and India. They've gone away, they've had a look at it. Obviously, had yesterday off, full day off yesterday. And I'm sure the bowling coach and the bowling unit have said, look, we're going to have to risk a little bit. Risk getting driven. We want to be driven on this surface. Go that little bit fuller. Go that little bit straighter. I thought Mohammad Shami was brilliant. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Yeah. On a surface which helped, but I thought he was first class. He answered the critic. Like you said, should they have played Siraj? And I thought he bowled very, very well along with Ishant. Bumrah was a little bit off, but Bumrah looks as though he hasn't bowled for a long period of time with a red ball, and I'm sure that will come for when the England series comes on. But I agree, I thought Williamson was very, very good. He batted a long time, 177 balls for 49, but I think that tells you how good. I actually think this is how tells you how good. They could be critical and say, did they just meander? Did they not look to force the issue? I'm not sure they could force the issue. I think the conditions, the surface, and the bowling especially, dictated to where this game is. And you're right, Jamieson and Southee, they could propel New Zealand to a potential chance of winning this test match.
Well, look, there's plenty to get on to. We're going to talk about Williamson, Jamieson. There's loads. I mean, there was, in the end, nigh on 4 full day, and we're going to get 98 overs at day 6. So let's get on with 7 for 12. Okay, Harmy, the clock is officially ticking. We've got 7 minutes and 12 seconds. Let's start off with the tempo, okay? Because this is the World Test Championship. Not only did we lose 10 overs again today, which really should have been bowled, New Zealand went so slowly in the morning. Was there cautiousness? And I'm thinking Williamson, Nicholls, Taylor was out a little bit too early, I suppose, to really be criticised. Watling too. But, the way Jamieson coming in at number 8, changed the tempo completely. Wasn't it worth just trying that a little bit earlier in the piece?
Possibly, but I think when you've seen the way India had to toil away, 71 for 7 in the back end of their innings, and then the Williamson had to. I thought he batted very, very well a long time, but he batted well. I just think India bowled so much better in this game, in this day's play. They got their length probably a half a foot further towards off stump and about an inch towards another stump towards off stump, which meant they were in the game. They were always probing. They were always at. You could argue a bit like what we could see tomorrow to stand any chance for India going into this test match. A Rishabh Pant special coming in and whacking 60 or 40 balls just to take the game away. India, if New Zealand did that, then all of a sudden, then there's only one team going to win. I think if Kane Williamson, he got 49 of 77 balls. if you got to 70 off 177 balls, then all of a sudden, the scoring rate was a little bit better. They got 20, 30, 40, 50 in front before Jamieson comes in, Saudi comes in. Then all of a sudden, yes, you can go carefree. But I still think at the time, I think they were still trying to sort of get a foothold in the test match and not lose a test match as opposed to go and try and win it. So I can't really be critical too much of New Zealand. I just thought India bowled fantastically well.
Okay, let's tear up the script a little bit. Let's look ahead to tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
What chance a win? First off, what chance a win in this test match? Because personally, I think there's going to be a victor tomorrow. You're going to have 98 overs. There's going to be so much pressure on. There's also, I think, there'll be an inclination on both sides. And even if New Zealand were, say India set them 150 or 160 in 35 overs, 40 overs, because India are either bowled out or they just want to have a little look. New Zealand, I think they're just going to go for it. And that in itself will force a result one way or the other. The only possible way it's going to be a draw I can see is if India just bat tail T. And I'm not sure that A, India can bat tail T, and B, I'm not even sure India will want to bat tail T.
No, I think there's going to be a victor tomorrow. I actually think there's only one team can win from here. I really do. I think that's only New Zealand. Virat Kohli stands in the way of, and how many times have we talked about Virat Kohli standing in the way of any side? I think if New Zealand managed to knock Kohli out early and get in a position to, be within the first sort of 40 minutes to an hour, and Kohli's gone, I think New Zealand stand a great chance of winning. 98 overs, yes, you're right. That's if we get them all in. We lost 10 overs again today. And that's something that the ICC desperately need to have a look at. The one thing I will say about the result-wise, there's nothing to lose. We're not playing for points. It's a one-off game. They might look to sort of contrive to say, you know what, let's have a good game, a good end to a sixth day. I think that could come into it. But if New Zealand just remember, if New Zealand knock Kohli over early in the piece, 40 minutes, India lost 7 wickets for 71 runs in that first innings. The ball moving around. I think it's going to be a bit more sunshine, blue sky tomorrow. If that happens, I think India and New Zealand will fancy their chances to knock the tail over and then get after whatever. And then what you might see, John, is a total mind shift. Mind shift. Sorry, I put my teeth in here. Shifting mentality to make sure that wherever they go into one-day mode, whatever target is there, we'll go and chase it. And I think you'll see a different New Zealand from that piece. And then, but what you'll see is you'll probably see the Indian spinners come into play. The two guys, left arm, right arm, experienced guys, they'll come into the party as well. So as much as it's been a little bit of not a boring test match, but a test match that's meandered a little bit, it's took forever because of the rain delays, we might just see a humdinger of a last day, which is a 6th day of a test match.
Look, I went on TalkSport and I said nobody remembers the first 98 overs of the World Cup final. That was a tedious affair. That was a terrible track. Colin de Grandhome's 10 overs went for about -4. It was awful cricket. And then, of course, you have a super over. You have all the ridiculousness surrounding Ben Stokes and the bat and the ball and the ricochet and nobody cares about, Colin de Grandhome's 10 overs anymore. It's all about the result. And I've just got a feeling this is going to be exactly the same. And you mentioned one player then who I think could completely change the entire complexion of this match. And that is Rishabh Pant. Because if wickets are tumbling at the other end, and I really I love watching Pujara bat, but I really don't want to be watching him still batting at T. But if wickets are tumbling at the other end and Rishabh Pant comes in and in a low-scoring encounter means New Zealand's target is more like 160 than 110 or 120, and the pressure goes back on the Kiwis because they know they've let India off the hook. Game on. Absolute game on, I reckon.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I think Pant does hold the key to a lot because whatever he's going to do it quickly. He's not gonna just stand there and block it like what Pujara's going to do. He's going to do it quickly. If he's in for a long time, i.e. 40, 50 balls, he's going to get 70 or 60 or 70. Size of the ground, it's a decent size. So I agree he does hold the key. but this New Zealand side, this New Zealand bowling attack are on top of their game. And yeah, we're waiting. What you'll be looking for is waiting for a bad ball. New Zealand haven't bowled many bad balls so far in this Test match so far.
Neither side have, in fairness.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think India will be disappointed with some of the bowling there that did first up, and I think they redeemed themselves. But me,
I think New Zealand probably feel the same. That first hour on day one, which was about 2 years ago now, they gifted 50 runs probably in a low-scoring match. It could be that opening partnership between Sharma and Shubman Gill. That could be the difference. That's the beauty with low-scoring encounters.
Yeah, but flip that over and say the last 2 wickets or last 3 wickets, New Zealand had to put on 60, and that could be the difference between winning and losing the game. And just fine margins that come into it. I really think it's going to be a good day's cricket tomorrow. I think we're going to get a whole day in, fingers crossed. How we get whether we get the 98 overs, I'm not so sure. When you look at it today, it was 80.2 overs today, 212 runs at an over rate of 12.5. That's a disgrace for me when it comes to ICC. Really need to look at that. A run rate of 2.6 and over. So I don't think it'll be like that tomorrow. Hopefully we get the 98 overs in, and the run rate will probably be elevated because you've got Pant to come in. He only bats one way, and if New Zealand can knock Kohli over early and get an inroad and into the tail, especially if the ball is still zipping around a bit, I can see New Zealand winning this Test match.
We shall see. We will be back. And don't forget, subscribe, like, review, leave a comment, and we'll answer it following day 6 of the World Test Championship final. Okay, well, look, we were talking... if you haven't checked out the video, by the way, of Harmy talking about his best Indian 11 that he ever played against, then go and check it out. It's on the YouTube channel. He talks about what it's like bowling to Sehwag, to Sachin Tendulkar, Ganguly, Dhoni, pretty much the lot. One of the players that probably gives him more nightmares than anybody else is Rahul Dravid, who batted for over a day in the 2002 series here in England. Well, look, Harmy, Kane Williamson did a pretty good impression today, and I know it's unusual to see a batsman play like that in first innings, isn't it? It's usually to save a game towards the end of it, or possibly in third innings. But as a fast bowler, or bowler in general, when you're bowling against somebody who is essentially putting away all the shots, that must close down quite a few avenues of how you're actually going to get them out.
It does, and it's hard. In English conditions, it's a little bit easier because the ball moves a little bit. But you have to, as a bowler, try and move them around. You move them around the crease. I look at someone like Tim Southey, did it perfectly to the likes of Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill in the second innings to get their wicket. You've got to try and get them across the crease. And a couple of things in that, you just bowl bouncers, consistently bowling bouncers, 3, 4 and over. I know you can only bowl 2 that go over head high, but you can get them on the back foot, push them back, short leg in, play with your field. But when somebody gets in, like a Kane Williamson, the way he does, it's very, very difficult to remove them. So I remember a few years ago, we played against Shivnarine Chanderpaul, and literally after about 30 balls, we give up with Shiv. Because he batted at 5, we give up with Shiv and got everybody else out. That was our game plan. Just give up with him because he was in that good a form. It was before DRS, so Ashley Giles, he just kept kicking Ashley Giles. It's a bit different now, but you've got to try and maneuver the batsman, and sometimes you've got to hide the ball. If somebody's you a little bit how they got him out for 49. The ball was doing a little bit. They pushed it a little bit wider, and then they got Kane who hadn't hit the ball for a while. They got him into a position where he didn't really want to get into. He got to chase the wide one, and he nicked it. So, as a bowler, you have to constantly be trying to move the batsman around. If everything's going well for you and it's nice, hey, no worries. You just keep hitting your straps. But all of a sudden, if that batsman is in and he digs in and he becomes very, very difficult, you've got to try and play with your field, have catches in funky positions, and play on the player's ego a little bit and try and move him around the crease with either a bouncer or bowl at 5th, 6th stump and leave it out there for a little bit, trying to draw him across the crease, whether you can go for an LBW or you try and bounce him out. So it is very, very difficult when a top player gets in and he's not looking to score because his mindset is leave the ball, defend the ball. and not many top players make mistakes, and you've got to be right on the money.
Brilliant stuff. Well, look, there'll be Harmy's tips in every single one of the 7 for 12 shows that following play. We'll have another one tomorrow following day 6. Look, we're going to dash because England are about to play. And so is Scotland, actually. Scotland as well. So hopefully both win this evening. Do you know Harmy lives about... He could probably throw a cricket ball and it will land in Scotland. He lives that close to the border, so he's probably supporting both teams as well. Harmy, thanks so much for today. And if you watch this far, please subscribe, review, tell your mates, leave a comment. And as I say, we'll answer them on tomorrow's show. But that's all for now on 7 for 12.